So I'm Kristen Prescott, and I am from Louisiana. My daughter Daisy was diagnosed when she was 3, and she's 8.5 now. And if you follow me, then you know Daisy. So, and I am very ill prepared for this. So please bear with me. I'm
We're
going to do the best
talkers.
that I can. I can talk about anything, but I'm not very organized. So.
And my name's Colleen Marquetta, and this is actually only my second time to the conference. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm the sole Buffalo person. I think I already told everyone that. My son Jackson was diagnosed when he was 2 years old in 2014, and he's 6 now, and we're still on meds, but he's doing really well. So we're slowly getting off of them.
Okay, so people have already started doing this, but we thought that we would do introductions where we would like for you to pair up into groups of 2 of somebody that you don't already know. So you two gonna pair off with somebody else.
You have to find somebody.
They're
you don't
sisters. And just like really quickly, so we don't suck up all the time, give each other your name, your JMer's name, how old they are, maybe when they were diagnosed, what their diagnosis is, if it's JDM, JPM, what's the other one? Is there another one? And where you're from. And then we'll come back and you can introduce your partner. So let's do that. I don't know how many, do we have enough people?
Yeah,
Okay, you did.
if we have to do a group of 3, we'll do a group of 3.
Yeah.
I think we'll have a group of 3 in the back. Okay. I love that you're talking. I'm sorry to interrupt. If everyone got a chance to introduce themselves and we want to move on, or if you're still introducing, just tell me stop and I'll stop talking. But if you're ready and we're ready to introduce.
It might not
Our
work
friend that
because
we
we
just
had a
met.
few other people, and that's fine. But if you want to go and just introduce your partner, just quickly.
And what you know about.
Yes, to the group.
How much did you remember?
Right. How much do you remember? Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. You're efficient.
And then we're going to pass, so we're supposed to pass the microphone. So.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, this is Eleanor. She's from New York, an hour and a half above Manhattan. Maddie's 10 years old, and she was diagnosed at 4, almost 5, so they're still on medicine. She did the full panel, which I want to do, the blood panel, to find out what type of JDM you have. And we were just sharing our story. And there's always a lot of similarities, but then a lot of differences that you hear from everybody else.
Great. Thank you.
And this is Liz, and she's from Boston, just outside. Okay. And her son is Liam, and he was just diagnosed in March.
Yeah.
So, and this is your first conference, so that's exciting.
Yes. Very. He is so cute.
Hi, this is Melissa, and her daughter Addie is 4, and she was diagnosed almost 2 years ago when they lived in Alaska. They had a hard time getting diagnosed, and she was pretty sick there for a while with a feeding tube. They live in San Antonio now, and Addie is doing awesome, and she is weaning all her meds, and all her labs look great.
Yay. I remember you from Boston. Yes.
Thank you. This is Melanie. She has CC, who is 7, diagnosed 20 months ago. CC, similar, doing really, really well. They are from Chicago. And yeah, it's fun comparing stories.
Yeah.
We all have the same, like you just mentioned. Our kids are doing great, but, our numbers are all over the place. And it's just really interesting seeing how well they can do. All right.
Hi, this is Leah. She has a daughter at 7, diagnosed with JDM. Very interesting story. She was living overseas in Morocco when she was diagnosed, and now she's back in the States. They plan on staying here, and she's still undergoing treatments.
This is Candace, and your daughter's 7, and she was diagnosed in July. I can't remember where you're from. Georgia, and this is her sister, Brittany. Yes.
What's your daughter's name, Candy?
Savannah.
Okay.
Yep. And this is Sandy, and her daughter is Sydney. She was diagnosed just before she turned 4, and she said she's currently in remission. So she's doing really good.
Yay.
This is Kara, and she's from Ohio, and her daughter's name is Avery, and she's 6, diagnosed 2 years ago. And then we talked about our travels to DC.
That was not allowed.
This is Susan, right, from North Carolina. Her daughter is Amber. She was diagnosed at 6, almost 7, and she's 9 years old now.
This is Deanne. Her daughter is Sabina. Perfect. She's from Georgia. Her daughter was diagnosed with JDM. She's 3 years old, and she's on prednisone for now.
Yeah, she just was diagnosed.
She was just diagnosed last month.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Hang on the tears, right? This is Nellie. Her son Ramon is 7. He has JDM and was diagnosed last year, and he's weaning off some of his meds, right? He's just on methotrexate. She's from South Jersey, and she has 2 other kids.
All right. Thank you.
I came in late, so I'll do me. I'm Kate. I'm from Philly. I have a 4-year-old daughter who was diagnosed last year. Her name's Kaya. And she kind of almost came off meds in January, and then we went to Florida, and she got a little sunburn on her nose. So we went back on meds, but she's doing well.
Good. Thank you.
Hello, this is Naomi, and her daughter's name is Gianna. And Gianna is 5, diagnosed in February, right? And they're just from right down the street, just in Arlington.
Oh,
So
awesome.
super shortest commute. Yeah, so.
And this beautiful lady is Megan, and her daughter Victoria, 5 years old. It was diagnosed last year, and she's still under different, what medications are? I'm sorry.
Methotrexate.
Methotrexate, yes. And
thank you.
And she's here in Alexandria.
Yes, I'm also local
Oh,
for 2 more
oh.
weeks.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So how many people here, this is your first conference? Wow, that's a lot. Okay, I just was interested to know that. I, too, when Daisy was diagnosed, like early in the year, she was diagnosed in March or so, and we came to the conference in July. So I was a mess the whole time. She was 3 years old. The new diagnosis triggers me very much so. So I get it. I'm here for you if you need anything, always. So.
And I was on the other side of that. I wanted nothing to do with
Right.
anyone else who
Right.
had it because it was too hard for me. So I
Yeah.
just, when the doctor offered me to connect with other families, I couldn't. And then a couple years in, when he started doing better, I said, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah,
So-
and there's both sides of it, and there's probably some in the middle. I know for me, starting to do something.
I wish I did. I
helps.
wish I did
Do
it right
you?
away. Yeah, I do now.
It's my personality, and I know that there's definitely people who, my brother, for instance, if it was his kids, he'd be in a hole and, no T-shirts, no, hey.
I was afraid that it would be hard for me. And then I realized when we came last year that it was the exact opposite.
Right.
It was so nice.
Right.
I was talking to another parent. Everyone went to the pool at the same time at night.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, this has never happened before.
Right.
I loved that.
Yeah.
And Jack got to play with all the kids
That- yeah.
at night in
The
the, pool.
kids
It was
seeing
kids
each
who he could
other
relate to. And he was only 5 at the time. So, he didn't know a lot of details about everything. I'd never fully explained it to him. But he liked that there were kids that did the things at the same time he did and that had to watch the son. So
Right. So that's off the agenda, but I just wanted to say that because I noticed there's lots of new people. If y'all do you want to introduce yourselves or no? That's okay. I totally get it.
Hi guys, I'm Kelly. I'm Cap, and my partner Joy, and our daughter, who's Joy's biological daughter, Liv, is 5 and was just diagnosed in February. So she is. Sorry, here we go. Here they come. She's on high doses of prednisone, so she looks very different.
Yes.
Very different, and it's really, really hard. So we were unsure for a long time about her future, but we're really grateful and happy that her labs are normal now, and they're starting to taper. But she does the IVIG, and she does methotrexate and the high doses of prednisone. And I don't know if Joy wants to say anything, but I don't know if she can. Sorry, guys. We're from California.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Southern California, Ventura County. Family.
Awesome.
So we're happy to be here.
And we're glad you're here.
We can't wait. We're,
We're
so,
so glad
happy
you're
that
here.
you're here too.
Yeah.
I promise you
Yeah.
that this is a lifeline, really.
Just the connection and
Yes.
talking to you guys is going to be a huge help.
Yes.
So thanks.
One of the things I thought was really nice last year was there's so many people in different stages of the
Yes.
process. You
Right.
can see kind of how it's going to go, and there's light at the end
When
of the
you're
tunnel.
all alone at home or at night, you know, that's when the kids are put to bed, that's when I can lose it, you know, and especially then at that time, you feel it's at night, everything always seems so much worse at night in the dark, and you're so alone and you're thinking these horrible things that you didn't think 2 weeks ago, you know, and then like she said, they look totally different. The steroids make them turn into a different person. And I'm even being triggered again because Daisy was diagnosed at 3, and then I have a 3-year-old daughter now who is healthy and typical, and all of her stages make me realize what we missed with Daisy and what we didn't know was part of the disease, you know, like, oh, Celine is my 3-year-old. She's wild. She's running everywhere. She doesn't want to stay in her stroller. Daisy sat in her stroller for 8 hours at the mall once a week. Like, and we just thought she was an angel. And like, she never tried to get out of her seat. She never tried, you know, all the little things that people are telling me that's a normal kid that Celine does. And I didn't know. I didn't know, you know, so.
Same with me. Jack's my firstborn, my jammer, so I had nothing to compare it to.
Right. So, okay. This is not, I am not super organized. If whatever we need to talk about or want to talk about, whatever you need, we're here for you. But these are some of the guidelines, some of the things that we came up with to start talking about common meds, their side effects, and countering those side effects. But what we want to bring up for sure that we were told is what exactly?
We can give the motherly advice.
advice.
We can't give medication advice because I don't know that.
We're not doctors, so just
so in
you
terms of
know.
side effects, roid rage, things that we've done that's worked, anything you've done that's worked, this is a sharing time.
Right. So you just know that we are not doctors. I don't think there's any other people in here claiming that they're doctors or that they're giving doctor advice. We're just giving the mom
advice.
side. So what are some of the medicines that your kids are on? What you mentioned, prednisone.
She's on prednisone, methotrexate,
Plaquenil.
Okay. So do y'all want us to write all of that, or are we just talking? Like, do y'all need notes and? Okay. So it's just easier, I think, and more personable for us to just talk. So side effects that you're seeing from prednisone.
So mood, personality.
Yes.
I'm used to talking in large groups, so I don't need this.
Well,
for
their live streaming.
Got it. Oh, okay. That's different. For us, it's the side effects is really a complete change in personality.
Yes.
With smaller amounts of time where we see the old live.
That will get better, I promise you.
Yeah. What else? So just the hair growth.
Yes.
And she's very self-conscious and she's angry.
Yes.
So we just started her in therapy.
Yes.
She just turned 6 in May 22nd.
I think she's in kindergarten.
She's going into first.
Okay, yeah.
And she's still planning. And one of our big concerns is what it's going to be like when she goes to school, just for starters, because of how she looks and her self-consciousness and what that could potentially do long-term to her self-esteem and her confidence. So that's, for me, a big concern.
Therapy is excellent. That's an excellent tool
Yeah.
that we use then, we still use now.
Yeah.
Very important. And there's some other people that are in the organization that can help with school-specific things.
So Joy's a teacher, and a lot of
good. Then you can help be a resource at some point too.
Well, and my older kids went through elementary school at the same school, so we know all of the
That's good.
teachers,
Good. So
and
you're
we're very connected.
You're more worried about the
more
social.
worried about what it does to her.
Yes.
So I was suggesting, and actually mentioned to Liv this morning, I think maybe we'll have a party before school starts. Invite all the kids
Great
over.
idea.
and
That is a really
so
good
that
idea.
They'll get used to that it's still Liv, but she just looks a little bit different.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. What else are you experiencing?
Well, just to kind of piggyback off that, it's so important. It's really important for the kids to make it to where they don't feel different. Like for Addie at school, all of the kids know Addie has JDM, Addie has special sunscreen, and making it fun for them. Really random. I was in J. Crew not too long ago. They have kids, and it's good sunblock. $18, but it's good sunblock, but it's got glitter in it. I mean, it's got like, it is really cool. It looks like unicorn, whatever, but anything to get them excited about it, and not make them feel different, but special. Twist that. Make them feel you can handle this. You were chosen for this. It sucks, but it's also pretty cool too. You know, look at that. It's so hard at that point when you are newly diagnosed. My husband and I had a conversation where I felt so much relief having a diagnosis, and he felt terrified because he was like, I don't know what this looks like. So it was really nice to sit together and say, all right, let's have our 20 minutes. We're going to cry. We're going to be mad. We're going to be angry. We're just going to hate the world for 20 minutes, and it's okay. And then, all right, we need to be positive. Mm-hmm. She's the one going through it. Yes, we are observers of this, but how are we going to make this better? So you guys stay great partners, be there for each other, and it's going to be great. Sucks, but it's going to be great. You'll get through it.
It's going to get better.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that there are upsides too, even though it's not, you don't want to be here, but there are upsides like the camps you can go to for free, Make-A-Wish. There's a million companies out there that do great things for kids, and you can research those, and that's a way to show them the special part of it, There are special things out there for you, your life is a little harder, but there are a lot of silver linings that you can find. Mm-hmm. So, if it would help her to go to a camp where a bunch of kids have the same thing. Usually most of the camps that I researched are for 6-year-olds and up or 7-year-olds and up, and I'm so sorry. I'm worried that my kid's going crazy in the daycare room. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's worth those resources.
We were recommended for Make-A-Wish after my son had a GI hemorrhage, and that was really hard. But the Make-A-Wish experience was amazing. When I first found out, I kind of cried because the idea of my son qualifying for it.
That, yes.
But it made him feel special in a good way, and it made our family feel special in a good way. And now I have that memory. His wish was for a shaded playground. And they were so good to us, and they gave us the most amazing playground I've ever seen in my life. It takes up half of our backyard. It looks like an amusement park. They were so good to us, and every time I walk out there, that was a gift that was given to our family. We had a whole surprise party planned. They treated us like royalty. They sent us to Dave & Buster's, and we did because Make-A-Wish partners with Dave & Buster's, but that was we have so many good memories from really hard times.
Yeah.
Our local children's hospital has something called Stone's Buddies. It's for chronically ill kids. They can join a group, and they give you tickets to things. And I think the other hospitals have similar. I don't know if your hospital has anything, but it made Jack feel special in a good way. Not just he was a boy who couldn't go outside.
Right.
He got to do all this cool stuff that his other friends didn't get to do.
Right. Same.
I also just kind of wanted to add about just being concerned with how kids are going to respond. A great idea is we did a fundraiser around Christmas time for my daughter's preschool. All the kids, it raised awareness of what it is, and also to the parents. For example, Sid, she had trouble sitting crisscross applesauce. The teacher was starting to get upset with her about it. She was one that wasn't educated that came on later on. The other kids actually jumped up and said, this is what's wrong with Sid. So just involving somehow a fundraiser.
Yeah,
they do.
They're really good.
And they,
especially at this age, young under 10, kids love to be a help.
Yes.
And so, they love to rally around. And at first, it's you know, like kids are blunt. What's that? Why do you, anything different? Why do you have that? Or, you know, Daisy has to have her water all the time. And she said she hated everybody asking her all the time, why do you have your water? So if you just confront it head on, like you said, have a party, talk about it, get all that hard stuff out in the open, let them all answer their little sweet 5-year-old kid questions. You educate the teachers and then let it go. And the kids will surprise you.
Yeah. When we got our Cure Jam packet in the mail, I should say. And it's easy when someone asks a question. I show I just start talking about it. I said, Jack has juvenile myositis, and I love this. I've never taken it off.
My daughter, and I'm trying to hold myself, but my daughter was diagnosed in February as well. And yes, she changed a lot physically as well. She was very outgoing, very sassy, very, friendly. And now she is very conscious, very shy. And she thinks twice now when she does. Just to give an example, the kindergarten promotion day, she did not do anything. She was standing right next to the other kids doing anything, and that broke my heart. The hardest and challenging thing for me has been finding a psychologist. Here, I don't know about you, but here in Virginia, at this age, also the psychologists don't treat kids lower, younger than 6, or they're booked and I cannot get in, or I'm waiting 3 months to try to get into others, or either don't take insurance. I'm a single mom dealing with this, so it's so hard, and mental health is so important. One of the things that I recommend to you is, I know that you're a teacher, but there is a 504 plan, put it in, and the teacher has been amazing. My daughter's been bullied, just kids doesn't mean it. They're so young, they don't understand, but they mean. And so talking to the teacher and engaging with her or with them so they can create and explain to other kids what's going on, it helps. To other teachers as well, so they understand what exactly it is and what she's going through. It's not just the medication, it's not just the physical or the skin in the case of my daughter, but it's the growth, the mental, that is stopping her maybe to learn a little bit more or other things. So there's a lot of things that is going around it that we need to be careful and take a good care of it. So
I agree with you to talk to the teacher too. I'm an elementary school teacher, and if a parent ever came up to me, and when they have, I am on that, like white on rice, maybe because I have a son who's been through it. But yes, tell the teacher, because when they see the whole story, they will watch out for your baby.
My question is, did everyone's kids become an altered version of themselves on prednisone? We just started a week and a half ago. Like, I'm wondering when to expect, like,
Are you doing IV pulse or just oral? Okay, that's pretty low.
And how old is your?
That's a low dose. You did not have any of that.
I was going to say, so we noticed with our daughter, I can just talk to her. I don't need that.
Well,
I always multiply by 5, but it depends on. I don't know. I think I multiply by 5. Oh, yeah, I have no idea.
My son was 2, and we started on 10 milliliters a day, which was 30. So he really blew up. But when it's not as severe, the less you're taking.
Well, you might just have small little moments. Like, I would say 98% of the time, my daughter is the happiest child in the world. That 2%, she's pissed and she's angry, but she's mostly herself, other than.
The moon
3 to 4
pie
weeks.
face is pretty.
It took us 3 to 4 weeks.
Until we started a lot of extra IV pulses.
Right.
When we started that, she popped up a little bit, but.
You should see it. You should see it in probably 2 weeks.
It's 25 milligrams, right?
'Cause
We started out 10 milliliters, and I know the puffiness happened within the first 2 months, but that 10 milliliters.
as soon,
Yeah.
and then it went down as soon as we went under 1 milliliter. The doctor said the puffiness should pretty much completely be gone. Yeah, that's good. I'll say with my son, honestly, so many people came up to me and thought he looked adorable.
Yeah,
I mean, just as a side, there's people just thought he was adorable. He had these big chubby cheeks. Not that I wanted him on steroids, but
One thing that surprised me that the doctors didn't warn us for was the weaning of the steroids. Like my daughter actually was kind of okay on steroids. She was still somewhat normal, but as we weaned the steroids, she had like exorcist tantrums. I mean, like no, and she'd say afterwards, "I just can't control my brain." And it was crazy. And I mentioned it to the doctor, and they were like, "No, like it should be worse when it's going on the steroids." But the fact is, for us, it was not. And I don't know if any of you haven't been through that yet. I've found that on Facebook. Yeah. And without Facebook, I would have thought, I don't know what's happening to my daughter. The doctor says it's not supposed to be happening. Right. So
They just don't. I mean, they just don't. They know what is written somewhere in a book. They can't give you what another mom can give you. They just,
And just while I have the mic, to say the only other thing I want to say was one thing that really helped us. I don't know if you have a young child, but we had trouble with the methotrexate injections with the syringe. And so once we asked our doctor to switch the auto injector, and it took a little, exactly. It took a little like pushback with insurance, but not a lot. And it changed like our weekly, it's no problem at all now. She doesn't. So it's kind of like an EpiPen. You know what an EpiPen looks like? You don't see the needle, you just push it in. It's the exact same idea. Instead of, we were, getting the syringe, pulling it out of the vial, and she'd see the needle, and it was just all this, trauma. No, we do it at home. It's so easy. I mean, she's fine with it. She helps. She just helps like push it in now. And before, it was like having to pin her down. Should we do it while she sleeps? I mean, it was a nightmare trying to figure out. It's an auto injector, just like automatic.
Is it do you guys use the Rasuvo?
We do. We had a Trexip at first, though, because that's what our insurance approved, and then they switched. So we've used both, and there's no real difference. The best part, though, was when my husband did it the wrong direction. So the first time it went into his thumb, and he called our doctor, and he was like, "Should I not drink for like a week?" So don't do that. You have to be pretty. You wouldn't do that. That's all. Kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm a terrible mother because I do not remember what Daisy started, what her dose was when we started. That was 5 years ago. It was very high.
well, so mine was 10. Yeah, my son was 10 milliliters, but that's 30 milligrams.
Right.
And he was only 2, so that was that was a big dose for him. And
Now we're down to 15.
that's how old your daughter is?
5.
Oh yeah, so I mean
And
she
she
was
sees
older and
Dr.
big.
Ryder?
Savage in the Children's National here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like
My doctor's
I mean,
from Children's.
what we have found in the community is like the bigger,
The higher
better.
dose
Like
you start at, the
yeah.
stronger you hit it first,
Right.
the better off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good and I remember this at the conference last year. That's what they were saying.
Yes.
You're going to actually put less steroids into your child's body if you follow the protocol.
Right. It's
overall.
like, yeah. I mean, it seems like
What they
overkill. I mean,
recommend.
our local doctor at home kept telling us, oh, she doesn't need all of that. We saw Dr. Pockman, who you'll see on the panel this weekend. She doesn't see patients anymore, but she was the JM God doctor, her and Dr. Ryder. We saw them, and she was throwing all this, IV pulse and methotrexate and major high doses of oral steroids that I don't remember the dose because I'm a terrible parent. But I remember her telling me and me writing it and her telling me that this was a very big dose because she was 3 and she was very tiny 3 at that time. So, and her doctor at home was floored by the doses that she was going to give and kept telling me that's overkill, and we fired him because, and then he was like, we'll see you back in 6 months. Yeah, exactly. When she was just diagnosed, and she's literally deteriorating before our eyes.
Speaking of that, that's why
So
second
that-
opinions.
yeah, we go
we're
into second opinions.
Also, would you go for a second opinion if you think you're on the right path now anyway?
I did it right away. I did it immediately because I wanted to know.
I am just a very big, firm believer in your child at any time should be seen by one of the major Cure JM doctors that has direct access to the most cutting edge research and the protocol, because there is not a protocol that's to everyone and to all the doctors around the
And-
country or world.
And my doctor, our local rheumatologist, did not take that personally. She actually liked that we were doing it. She said, "That's the expert." Goes, "I'm more than happy to
Right.
work with them. This is not my area of expertise. She's a
And
pediatric
especially-
rheumatologist, but
right,
she's
especially if your
pleased.
child is in any way difficult or not responding, you should get in to see Dr. Ryder. I don't know who's taken Dr. Prockman's place over at Lurie Children in Chicago. Is it? But didn't she stop? I think she left. Curran left. Okay. Okay. Has taken over. Okay, for that.
But if you're thinking about it, I was very open and upfront with our rheumatologist, and she was no problem. So I thought it would be better to just tell her up front what we were doing.
Just kind of curious, how many of you guys, like by show of hands, who sees a rheumatologist and who sees a neuromuscular doctor?
We see a rheumatologist.
Okay.
I've never
seen a.
Are there any pediatric rheumatologists near you?
We're in Columbus. We have Nationwide Children's.
Oh, yeah.
And that's who diagnosed her, was a neuromuscular doctor, and we've stayed with them.
Our doctor's
Well, she
from
left.
Nationwide Children's, and I know they have a group of pediatric rheumatologists there too.
They've never suggested that you see a rheumatologist?
And if we want, but we were comfortable. Like she put Sid in remission probably within the first medical remission within the first 8 months. So we just kept going with her. But she has since left the practice, and her colleague is in there that is part of the group. But I was just curious because sometimes I question if we should look into her.
Why not? Wouldn't hurt to have an appointment, right?
And there was a Cure JM, they did a research study at Nationwide Children's just because our doctor was a part of it that came to Buffalo. So I know there's someone
So when
who's
we say
familiar with
second
that.
opinion, we mean like when we were making the thing, to see a Cure JM
myositis
specialist, like not just another. And I don't know, typically there are not a lot. If you look at, and I've seen several statistics or studies, that there's not a lot of pediatric rheumatologists.
19 states without it, I learned from our local
19
CMO at our
states. Oh,
hospital.
okay,
19 states that have no pediatric rheumatologists.
We are
Just a side note.
lucky down in South Louisiana that there's 2 in New Orleans. One group that I wouldn't touch, and I have a hard time in my position of Cure JM because I'm not supposed to tell them to run fast away from them, but I do. And then we see the other one who is very open, just like you said. I think she gets a little perturbed sometimes at the difference of opinion. She'll make a little bit of comments. We've been with her for 5 years or so when their approach is a little bit drastic or whatever, but especially the tapering. Daisy tapered very slowly because she was a monster, and so we had to go really super. Daisy already is very. She already had a little bit of sensory issues. She's an actor, so she's always been weird. Very creative and very sensitive and emotional and dramatic, but all of that intensified, and then there was massive amounts of anger at small things or major meltdowns. And I can remember distinctly her having a fit and screaming and freaking out, and then being afraid of herself, like there's a monster inside of me. And those things would exacerbate as we would taper also. So she tapered really slow, and she's still on just a very low dose of.
I don't know if this happened with you or anyone else too, but when Jack would get his IVs and he was on steroids, he would freak when they tried to poke him. And even the nurses, they would tell me, you just have to let him get it out. There's nothing you can do. Let him get all that frustration out and then just sit with them. And that's what I would do. He would scream and kick, and then he would tell me later, I couldn't control it, Mama.
Right. I just
hugged
IV
him.
Benadryl did that for Daisy. I don't know who here does
Benadryl, too.
IVIG. You do IVIG? Okay.
If they go to
You're
sleep,
doing IVIG?
they're good.
Daisy won't go to sleep. She fights it. But
They don't, it's bad.
we thought we couldn't figure out what it was that was making her. I was very heavily pregnant with Celine when we started, and it took 4 or 5 people to hold her down at 4. She wasn't even being stuck. It was just she would have these rages where she ripped out her IVs. It was terrible. And we figured out it was the IV Benadryl. So that just keep in the back of your mind if you're having those issues. So now she takes oral Benadryl previous to the IVIG and oral Tylenol.
And we do Zofran too.
Very interesting you said that. So we live in San Antonio, but Addison came here. We just got done with IVIG yesterday with Dr. Jones. Hi, Megan. She says hi. And usually we do the oral Benadryl at home. She did IV Benadryl. No joke, her very first night terror, demonic spell, whatever you want to call it, my husband and I sat on the couch and we cried and we were like, I've never seen that in my child. And I will never do IV Benadryl ever again. It was terrifying.
Yes.
It was terrifying.
Yes.
The oral, there's still a little, at least with Jack,
Yes.
but it's better.
To me, I think what it is for Daisy is that she's getting sleepy and she's fighting it. So she's grumpy. So we've learned to just let her, I hate to let her zone out on the iPad, but IVIG day is a day where
I give her whatever she wants.
Here's your, right. We don't bring school. We don't bring scripts. We don't do anything. Here's your, just zone out watching other kids open up crap. And,
Yes.
And she just doesn't talk. She doesn't sleep, but she's just in a zone, and let her ride that out.
Can play all
till-
the video games he
Yes,
wants on
whatever.
IVIG day.
Right. Does anybody else do you have questions about second opinions, or if you?
On the tapering down, my question is, my son is getting sick the times we're tapering down, and I left messages for the doctor. It was just like phone tag with doctor. And doctor's like, oh, well, we could slow down the tapering with the prednisone.
Which I think, yes.
But that's it.
I've never heard. Has anybody else's child gotten not vomiting?
So we could do Zofran and that's it. The doctor wasn't very sympathetic. I don't want her to be sympathetic, but there was no solution.
Right. Slowing
down.
I haven't really heard of that, but you need to ask some more people, I guess. But slowing down, I guess, would be the.
And Zofran.
Is there?
And Zofran.
I hear that slowing down all the time, but I don't know. It's my first time, so I never have seen an infusion or anything. What did you mean with slowing down, going speed?
This is two different things that we're talking about. The tapering of the prednisone, right, is what we're talking about for when you taper the prednisone. So you start at 10 and they're a little bit stable, and so the doctor wants to go down on their dose of prednisone, and so they go, to whatever it is, go down on the dose a little bit. You're talking about the IVIG rate, which is a totally different thing that also needs to be very, 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 very slow.
Yes, especially if you have a child that's sensitive to it. So
Right.
12 hours for us.
For anybody, this is for anyone out that you guys. So Liv she was on 32 milligrams, so she takes pills. So I don't know what that equates to in milliliters, but she's on 32 milligrams now. She's on 28, and the doctor thought that it was going to be 25% less each month, assuming her labs stay normal. Is that typical? If you've all experienced
That's similar to what we did. Yeah.
and
We
so
did one.
about how many months did it take to be off of it?
Well, when we went to see Dr. Ryder, she actually had put us back on. So she thought we went off
Why?
a little too soon because what she told me, I'm saying this carefully, but this is what she told us. He needs to be sign and symptom free for 3 months before you take him off or wean anything. So she still saw a little bit of his JDM rash. So she said, put him back on it. He shouldn't have been taken off. So and she told us he will get less steroids in his lifetime if you do this. It's something you don't want to do now, but you will benefit from it later. So we did.
Wait, one more time. So 3 months free, no symptoms before she wanted them to taper at all?
That's what she told us. Okay. That's just what she told me for my son.
That is why I highly recommend at least one trip. And Dr. Ryder will
be able to talk to her.
Yes, she's excellent. She is
Right.
amazing. So my son was 2. He weighed, I think about 35 pounds. And no, he was probably 30 pounds because he shot up to 40 pretty fast. And we started on 10 milliliters a day, which was 30 milligrams. And then we went down to, because we did it twice a day, so we did 5 milliliters twice a day, so then we did 4 milliliters twice a day. Then
That's fast, from what I remember. I can't remember the exact.
So then we were down at 1 for a while, and our doctor decided to take us off. So this is about 8 months later, and we were off for about a month. And then we saw Dr. Ryder, and she said, you have to go back on. So we were on for 3 more months. It was 1 or 2. It was a smaller dosage. She didn't put him on a lot, but it was 1 or 2 milliliters. It wasn't the same dose we started at in the beginning.
Yes,
we
you do have to
we
be
did a
7.
study through NIH. That's how Jack was able to see Dr.
Right.
Ryder.
Thank you, Liz. That's very true. You have to be 7 to be seen. That's why we went to Pachman. So you guys could possibly go to Chicago, but you could talk to her here.
Our doctors are LA Children's.
Yes.
And they actually referred us to Ryder. So I have a feeling that, not referred us but we told her that we wanted to go for a second opinion, even though we were at the best place possible at LA Children's.
Yes.
They're part of the national JM group. And
Yeah, they're
part
great.
of the conferences. And so we're very comfortable with, but for us, there was a point in time, like a 3-week period where Liv was literally like a quadriplegic. Like we had to move her, she couldn't feed herself, she couldn't move her head. Every movement she made, we had to do for her. Like not one thing could she do. So we were in, as you can imagine, I'm sure you've all been there, in total, like what is our future? What is her future? What does this future look like? And how heartbreaking it was. And we were reaching out to everybody and anybody to try to, so I was convinced, I'm a nurse, so everyone in my world, my nursing world is like, did you get a second opinion? Did you get it? And I'm like, we're at the best place in the world. Where would we go that would be even any better? And they're like, no, you still have to go and talk to somebody else. And so I said to Joy, we got to go, just make sure, we don't want to change our doctors because we really love our doctors, but we want to make sure that we're not missing anything, that they're not missing even in the diagnosis. We know she's textbook. She's got every symptoms, not 1 or 2 or 3 of the 5. She has all 5 of the 5.
Right.
And so we knew she had what she had. We just wanted to make sure that we were not missing a treatment or a research or a clinical trial or something that was going
That's
on.
why I always strongly recommend
She gave us
Ryder.
Ryder's name. And so our goal here now is to at least have a couple minutes of time with her to just, with Liv, to not examine her or anything like that, but just talk about our regimen and then ask her if she would, want us to do anything different.
Dr. Kim is in San Francisco, and she started a myositis clinic there. She's excellent. We saw her when she was at Boston Children's. I love her. I love her.
If Ryder says we should go and get an examination by another doctor, then we'll probably do that. We're very comfortable with our doctors.
Right.
We just want to make sure.
Right. You just, whoever is on the cutting edge of the Cure JM research that they put out today.
Endorse what we're doing as
Right.
they would do under
Yes.
these circumstances.
Yes.
Then we're good. And
Right.
say-
And for us, when we were seeing Pachman, Daisy was not well, and so we saw her we went back and forth to Chicago every 3 months. But Dr. Pachman she was driving the bus on the case. She was telling our local doctors what to do. And now, since Dr. Pachman stopped and I had a baby all at the same time and Daisy got a little bit better and it was more stable, so we stopped. But we are going to go and see Ryder just in case. Another mom was telling me the other day, they just wanted to get in with Ryder while things were good, just in case something flares up horrible and you need her in an emergency. You've already done all the paperwork. She's already seen you. She can pull you up on the thing. And to me, that was that was a big thing. So
Yeah.
that is why we recommend not just a second opinion to the other pediatric rheumatologist down the street, because like you're saying, you have a great doctor at LA
They're
Children's.
a team also, so there's a team of them.
Yes.
At Children's.
I just think, you definitely should.
Even
speak
just
to
for
Dr.
peace of mind,
Yeah,
just to know they're doing it right.
It'd be nice to be
Yeah.
able to also take that feedback back to our doctor, since Ryder was who she recommended, to say,
Mhm.
hey, we've got 5 minutes with her, and this is
You'll
what she
be
said.
able to get that.
So who sees kids under the age of 7? You said, I know Ryder doesn't do that.
Ryder doesn't at NIH. It's because of the NIH.
Yes,
It's because
we
of the hospital.
Jack got to see her through NIH. He did 2 research studies.
So you could possibly join a research study. Michelle Best, that you met last night with the red hair, she knows about all that kind of stuff. She works there at the She works with Dr. Ryder.
Those research studies are very specific.
Right. We missed it too. But who was the doctor at Lurie? Dr. Ardelin. So there are people who have taken, because there is a myositis clinic at Chicago, Lurie Children's, Lurie, right? And so you should call there. That's who we took Daisy to. Dr. Pockman was the doctor, and now she's still doing research and, you know.
I've heard that the other one coming in is fabulous.
Okay, good.
I mean, 'cause everybody's upset that the current response.
Right.
But I've heard really good things.
People who have studied under Pockman, they're in her research. You know, it's a very big difference. I don't know who has seen Ryder or Pockman versus their local, but you know, at our local, I mean, at Pockman, it was a 5-hour appointment where you're getting your nail bed. They're looking at the nail beds, and they're doing the CMAS, and they're doing. Whereas, you know, her local rheumatologist is making her do a couple sit-ups, is checking her feet, talking to me, but they don't have the equipment. They don't have the.
And with Dr. Ryder, it was 2 days. Okay. So
we haven't.
So we spent 2 days.
And
with
you were in
Dr.
you were in a trial, so that's probably.
Yeah, but every bit of information from his case, we went through everything. PT saw him, evaluated him.
They have a CureJM funded myositis research center. So they are doing. So Seattle is starting one. Yes. Yeah.
Is there do we have one in LA? Do you know?
No.
When Dr. Kim said she was leaving Boston, she said that's what she was doing in San Francisco, starting a myositis clinic there. So there must be something.
In the bag, in this bag, there's a where it has the JM chapters.
Yes.
There's Southern
There is,
California.
yes. I can introduce you to the Southern California couple that are
What are
the
benefits
presidents.
of attending those and getting involved in those?
Do we have until 2:30?
Well, I know, like for our 2:30.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
knowing.
sorry. I don't want to be in trouble.
What time?
It's not right, but like our own doctor, our own local rheumatologist goes to those meetings.
Oh,
Which
got
is
it.
really nice.
Which is that's
Here,
wonderful.
But you could, even network with doctors there. Maybe you would see someone that is really involved with CureJM that would make you feel more.
So yeah, joining your chapters. Chapters are pretty new to CureJM as a foundation. The chapters are there for you to tell you where to go, what to do to help. They fundraise together. It's like a mini, your mini peeps, your
The Southern
families.
Cal person is here?
Yes, it's a couple.
Okay.
They live in Hollywood.
Okay.
So, and they have a daughter that's 21 and she goes to college away. So, and the lady is a social worker. They're great. So, and you'll feel great to have somebody in your area.
Cross their paths like some
Absolutely. I will introduce you to them.
Thank you.
Rob and Carol.
Are you in Southern Cal? We're moving in 2 weeks. So where do you go?
Oh, wow. I just went to
Oh,
San Diego
you're so
last
lucky. I
year.
love
It's
San
so
Diego.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. So much sun. Yes.
Seattle.
Yeah. Right.
I think about that. I'm like,
Well, Shannon Malloy lived in Austin when her son was diagnosed, and he was very sun sensitive, and they moved to Seattle. Daisy has not been very sun sensitive. We cover her, whatever, but we don't. Some kids really, really are. They have to change their lighting and all that. Daisy is not, luckily, because we live in South Louisiana.
Going on that, how do you know that this is very sun sensitive? Because for me, I'm originally from Puerto Rico.
Right.
We used to go to the beach
Yeah,
all the time,
us too.
sun from morning to late.
Right.
Never she showed any type of, condition.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Has she been exposed to the sun since?
well, I'm covering and doing
Okay.
That's
everything.
good.
So,
I'm definitely-
I'm
That's
overdoing it, I
good.
think.
You should.
But I haven't been in Puerto Rico, but I gotta go. There's my family there, so I just don't know.
We were told to stay out of the sun when Jack was first diagnosed between 10 and 3 every day. Don't even go outside.
Mhm.
And then as time went on and he got better,
And the
it
school
lightened up a
had
little
helped
bit,
me
but we still do
also
zinc
that
oxide in
too,
hat.
but,
There's a variation in all of that. And I think that, again, I would just say, use your own discretion. I mean, our doctor told us, so look at sunblock, part of the morning routine, and she now wears hats, and then our doctor said 15 to 20 minutes in direct sun and then shade. Because we go to the beach a lot too. We live in the coastal community, right? So, and we're outside where we have sun all the time. So we just
I would just say be careful. Just from what Dr. Ryder told me, just be really careful.
Be conscientious and just be aware, I
Yeah.
think, is because to change their whole entire life of what kids do outside could be real. I don't know. For me, it just seems like just.
And if you're not seeing that she is severely worsening after you've just, I mean, some kids.
Yeah, my son was very sensitive to the sun.
Right. Some kids, their parents know, you start to see that even just walking from the car or sitting in the sunlight at school, in the classroom. Or
You're the
start,
you know
they start
what
to
works for your
deteriorate.
child.
They get sick. They get sicker. They regress.
He would, his whole face, he would
Face
flare
turn
up
red.
so fast.
But see, and red face, Daisy still gets red face, but that's a prednisone thing. Prednisone causes a flush, so.
Because my daughter, she gets red, but also she's very, right now.
When she gets hot.
So she always got
That's-
a little bit of.
Yeah.
Thinking, I thought that was because it was too hot, or sweaty, or, but.
Well, that's why it's so difficult to, we live in Texas. Every
Right.
single kid out on the playground is flushed. My child looks no different. How do you determine what's what?
Once they come inside and sit.
She settles down. I mean, the redness goes away
Right.
quickly, and you just kind of have to gauge it with a typical kid.
Right.
My question is sort of unrelated to the kids, but I think one of the challenges that I'm having is issues with my husband.
Okay.
Sorry, I know it's trying not to cry, but trying to stay together.
Yeah.
Because I think we're dealing with things separately.
You're two different people.
And it's really important that we stay together
Yes.
for this. And I have a very overbearing mother-in-law. Oh, this is streaming.
Hold on,
So I guess I want to know for people with their significant others, right? Can you put someone else's face?
Yeah, I'll take that mic.
Now she knows and knows she'll be left.
I guess what are some tips, because we really have closed each other off.
Okay.
And we're both being there for our daughter, so you wouldn't be able to tell, except eventually you're going to be able to tell.
Yes.
I had a miscarriage 3 days before they called with my daughter's testicle. So we've had
A lot.
of stuff. And then they said it was just skin, and then the doctor emailed us that it was in her muscles. So we've had bad news delivered very poorly by the doctors, and then the miscarriage, and kind of one thing after another. So we're really separate. So I'd like some tips, sort of how to go into trip together. I was just going to say that.
Give yourself
Because we
some
did,
time
and then
together.
the minute we came back, it's like the same. Like we didn't even leave.
Therapy. I don't think there's a person in the world, including children, that doesn't need therapy. I mean, I just really believe, and it's secret, I don't see a therapist. I can't find one that I really connect with, but I really, really believe in therapy. I also really, really believe too my husband is a totally different person than I am. And sometimes I don't understand why he would deal with something the way he's doing it, and I know, Lord knows, he cannot understand what I'm doing, and that's okay. You can reach out to other people who are similar to you and let him, but you always try to come back together. So I guess my point, it doesn't have to be perfect and happy and together all day, every day. You're in crisis right now. I mean, you will look back on this time. I mean, like I said, I was just walking through like a zombie, and then at night when everybody would go to sleep and get away, and I would just scream and cry in the bathroom.
This is hard. It's hard.
And
Most
he may
people don't
never
have to deal
feel,
with it.
he's never going to let himself feel, and then after a year or so, we started talking, and I couldn't believe the things that he told me, like that it was all his fault, and that because there's tons of guilt. I thought he blamed me. He thought I blamed it, But those things can only be worked out by talking. And we always have said, no matter what, from the beginning, that nobody leaves and we're a team. So at the bad times, you're just doing what you have to do to survive. And you're going to piss people off. Like, we didn't go anywhere. Daisy couldn't be in bouncy houses. We couldn't do any of that. So we missed birthday parties because the day that we did go, and we kept telling her for a week, you can't go in, you can't go in. So we're going to do other stuff. But as soon as all the kids left her to go in, she melted down. It was horrible. We're all crying. But so I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but you just, it's really bad. It can be really, really, really bad. And it's really, really, really bad for him too, and for your extended family, and they don't know what to do. But it's important for you to take care of yourself and do what's important, do what you need to do to survive. And you don't have to fix all of that right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that yes, it's important. I mean, I could have never gone on a trip with my husband at that time. I get what you're saying. Go on a date, lock yourselves in the bathroom or whatever. But even if he's not open to that or you're not open to that, it's okay to be in crisis for a little while. I mean, we were for a while. My grandfather, who I was very, very close to, died of ALS right before Daisy was diagnosed. And ALS is horrific. And so we went through all of that. And then, so we were in crisis mode for a really long time too. And I recommend therapy. I recommend, we'll talk about the other thing you said, because I know about all that too. Right. But that, and so that leads us into self-care. I mean, it is super important. I am not good at self-care. I parent, my mom always says I parent from my toes up. Like, I breastfed my kids for 2 years, and I homeschool. They both are with me all the time. And it gets to be a lot, and like, but if you break down and you can't do anything, then you cannot take care of her. So I used to think, well, who cares about me? Who cares if I'm ugly? Who cares if I gained a lot of weight? Who cares? Who cares if I don't bathe and I don't do this and I don't? Who cares? I have to just take care of my baby, and it was a lot. But if this machine breaks down, then the whole thing breaks down, and then who's going to take care of her?
And for me, it was time away. Just a little bit of time every day. Just sometimes I went to the gym. Sometimes I just went out with my girlfriends and had a few drinks, anything, and I could. Right. But someone who could listen to me. But it was just, I needed me time. I probably would have lost it. I wouldn't have been able to keep it together. So it gave me a little bit time to recharge. Oh.
I'm not too much of a public speaker, but about the husband situation, taking it back a little bit. My husband is, you're gonna see him, he has a knee brace, he had knee surgery, so he looks real tough. Right? He's intimidating, but he's such a sweetheart. But he's always been like, so he keeps everything inside, and I always gotta like tell him, hey, like try to get emotions out of him, because he's just real strong, like real tough. But when my son first got diagnosed, it's like I was carrying everything for him, because he's like emotionless sometimes. So I feel like I was carrying his burdens and mine, so I was a wreck. I lost like 10 pounds. I cried every day. It's understandable. It's horrible. But I was like that, and he would just, sometimes I'd be like, what, like, are you there? Do you have feelings? Yeah. But then one time we was in bed, and my little one, he'll be the active one with my husband. They'll play, they'll wrestle and do all that stuff. And one time he was like, I don't recognize my son anymore. And he totally broke down. Like, I freaked out, because I'd never seen my husband break down like that. Like, and right now, at that moment, I felt, wow, he's feeling all that. He just never let it out. That's probably, I don't know if your husband ever broke down in front of you. He's probably just keeping all that inside. He probably has to, like, let it out. Like, at that moment, I realized, yeah, okay, you're going through it as well. We both going through this. And right now, and after that, I no longer just think about my sorrows. I actually talk to him. How you feeling? How's it going? How you holding up? Because sometimes we get too involved in our own like suffering, like because we're like the machines, But that could be a case in his point. He probably just have to like.
Yes, I promise.
Yeah.
But like Luke, my husband is Luke, and he's a big, tough South Georgia farm boy, and his big thing all the time was, because I always tease him and say he only knows angry and not angry. Like there's no other things. It's angry or not angry. And I'll say like, are you, because I'm totally opposite. I'm very dramatic and feeling and emotional. And I'm like, well, does it make you sad that da da da? Well, sad's not going to do anything. No, it's not gonna, but angry's not gonna either, but it's how you feel. And he still is certainly not gonna come and tell me that he feels sad, that da 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 da. But he is feeling it, and like I said, right now, I'm telling you, you are in crisis mode, and he is feeling like he's got to, just like the woman is taking care of everything, and it's a very typical stereotype, but from what I've heard from Luke, my husband, is that I can't break down, and then you break down, and then she breaks down, and then it all breaks down, and so he feels like he has to be the strong one, and also, men aren't typically taught to even recognize their feelings, even at 30 years old or whatever. So they can't even put their fingers on how they feel. They feel guilty, they feel angry, they feel like they haven't protected their family enough. Those are the things that I've gathered from Luke over the 5 years. When the right time hits, when he's drank a few beers and he lets down the guard, and he admits, like, I feel like she's my little girl, and she has this thing that I can't, he's huge. So, he could kill somebody with his hands. And I can't fight this. He can't go give blood. He passes out and embarrasses everybody. But his daughter gets a half an inch, a needle stuck in her chest once a month. Like, it makes them feel like less of a man or less of a, and women have the same, I'm her mom. What did I do wrong? Those kind of things. So he's definitely feeling, and you're just in crisis mode. He will just try to stay together. It
was like 2 years into it when I saw my husband cry, and we were in the ER, and they were taking Jack's blood, and he couldn't take it. He wanted them away from him, and then that's when he started crying. I was in shock. I didn't know what to, it was the first time I saw him cry after all this went on, but I kind of handled everything. And the first JM conference we went to last year is when he really learned a lot, and he was like, wow, I learned a lot. A lot of it was stuff I already knew, but it took a while for him to agree to do this and be a part of it, because he dealt with it by, well, you do it. I can't know about,
and some of that helps us too. Like Luke is not, I don't want him at the hospital. He's annoying and blah, blah. I don't have this, but I know friends of mine who are like, it's really important for them to do everything together. And that just doesn't work for us. So, I don't need him at the grocery with me.
I asked Chuck to leave the room. I'm like, they need to take his blood. So
get out. Right.
This is a really sweet moment, but we got to get the blood. Right. So get out of here.
My parents are very heavily involved. And some people don't have that. Maybe a friend or whatever who can come with you to IVIG or whatever. If your husband is causing, or your partner, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry about the, and so Lucas goes home, IVIG is forever, and so he's home and he's cooking and he's taking care of the other while I'm at the hospital, because it does no good for him to be sitting there shaking his legs, being all nervous, wanting to kill everybody. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is don't get a fairy tale, whatever works for you, and whatever works for your family. That has, I know that we do things a little different. My parents are both, my mom's almost, but both retired. And so my dad comes with me, and Daisy, and Luke stays home. And I know lots of people comment about Luke not being there at everything, but he can't handle it. And he does other things. He gives her medicine every single night. That's his thing. And, so whatever works. Whatever works.
I know some people haven't had a chance to talk. And if there's anyone who wants to ask something about, we don't have that much, but if there's something that you want to talk about or need
any help with,
have a question on.
Back on that real quick, we found that we each have our jobs.
Yes.
And he takes care of A, B, and C. I take care of D, E, and F. We come together. He's always at the doctor's appointments that he's in pharmaceuticals, so he gets some stuff, like he will go to all the medical stuff, I will sit in the emotional stuff. So that helped us figure out, he did the shots, I was like, I'm out, I will not do it, I don't have that brain to do it. He, every single week, I'm doing shots anymore, thank God. But, so I think it's everybody had their, so he's doing what he can do, I'm doing what I can do, and those days he was out and it was a shot day, he didn't get shot, because I would hold him. But, so I think it's just knowing your spots, and I think too a lot on him. I'm a stay-at-home mom. He's providing for the family. He loses his job. He loses insurance. That weighs heavily on me for him.
Right.
And I know he thinks, we did a Chicago to Seattle thing, move, and we can't just go anywhere. We have to make sure he has the best medical care for that. We started with Dr. Curran, and she is our God, moving from her. And, we couldn't move to the middle of Nebraska, sorry if anybody's from
Right.
Nebraska, but, there are 5 cities in the United States we can move to. So they're dealing with that.
Right.
So jobs is what he can sink his teeth into, and I know I don't have to call the insurance company. So I don't know if that helped at all, but that's how we compartmentalize.
I just think it's really important to remember that the beginning is really overwhelming and it is
Right.
stressful and upsetting.
That you are in a crisis.
Exactly, and it's going to get better. Like in 6 months, you're going to feel.
Like, you got to do what you got to do to get through, like an alcoholic, day by day. I mean, seriously, like what you can handle right now. I totally
That's all I
changed my
thought
whole
about.
life.
Yeah.
I used to be a future planner and what we're going to do next year and what I wanted to do next year and what I wanted the girls and blah, blah, blah. And now people say, we homeschool Daisy through the public school for many reasons. But people constantly ask me, well, are you going to do this until right now, we're homeschooling. I would have never, I would never have thought that we would be homeschooling. Let's just put it that way. And so you have no idea what you're going to be in 6 months. And that's okay. So this is what we're doing today. And this is what's
And my
keeping
focus
us
was
on-
little goals. Okay, our first goal is
Yes.
we got to get off prednisone. Okay, so what do I need to do to make that if I keep him from getting sick? For in my son's case, the less he gets sick, the less I see that rash keep coming up. So if I can just keep him healthy, really teach him to wash his hands, make sure he's eating the right foods. I just did all those little things, and it was just goal, get him off of prednisone.
Right.
And keep him safe, and then it was the next one.
Right.
I couldn't think about people would ask, well, what about when you get to this step? I'm like, that is so far ahead. I am not there.
Right. I'm just trying to get through Tuesday. Right. I mean, it's just that kind of stuff I think is better. And to know that things are in your family are going to change, and things you thought were super important and going here and going there and looking at Facebook and seeing everybody out at the picnic and everybody doing this and we just sitting at home playing video games, or that's okay. Like, we're different now and our
Do you know what I
different.
did? We had parties. And I said, because we missed fun
I don't
stuff,
like
birthday
people at my
parties. So I
house.
said, I'm going to have Shark Week. I said, we're going to have Shark Week party. And we just made little anything we did at home, I tried to make it fun. Like, you might be missing other parties, but none of your friends are having a Shark Week party. So I was I'm a teacher, so I'm an elementary teacher.
Yeah, that's
but
cute.
I just,
We don't do that.
And to him, it was so fun. But to him, it was so fun.
Of
and that's what
course.
I could do.
Colleen will go to your house and have a party.
We watched Shark Week on TV and we played like pin the tail on the shark.
Right,
Like it was, not a big deal. I bought little shark hats on Amazon but they had like 2 friends over and I did that and it made it
I don't like
fun
people at my
for
house.
We had to get really creative. Joy did a great job at Liv's birthday, her 6th birthday, and that was May 22nd. And she's really now just starting to get her strength back and stuff. So we needed to get creative and figure out. And she's got a ton of friends just from Girl Scouts and school, and
That's great.
She's very, she's a very popular little kid in our
Good.
community, and so we transformed. This is all her, but I say we, she. When I say we, it's always her.
When I say we, I mean her.
When I say we're going to do this, that means you're going to do this. But she transformed the entire garage to like a movie theater, and we got a big screen, and we watched what was it? Sing. We watched Sing. Yeah, the movie Sing. Yeah. And
We
had
love that.
like 25 kids. We set up we did this really well. We set up a candy counter with like
We
the
worked
movie-
really hard on
the
this.
movie theater candy. It was
That is so cute.
That is-
we had a real
That is
movie
so,
theater pop-up.
so cute.
I have older kids, and so they were part of it, and we had a of the friends come and just like serve the kids, and everybody brought little chairs, and it was really great.
Way to go, Joy.
We had intermission when we came in the house and sang happy birthday and had birthday cake.
That's super
Then went back
cute.
out and watched the second, the end.
Y'all are gonna be okay.
Yeah, you
are. It's just and,
good moms.
It doesn't matter if it's two women or a husband and a wife. The challenge is, well, we're partners, and but our issues are the same as everybody else's. It's no different, and it is crisis mode. And I'm quite a bit older than Joy, and I raised 2 kids, and so for me, it's like, and I work. So I'm the main. Joy works very hard and makes a very good living, but the way we're structured is, I have to work, right? I have to be able to travel and do what I do, and I would say that this has been super enlightening and inspiring for me, because when we have issues, I'm very disconnected, and so this is good for me, and I'm impressed. So.
Thank you.
Silver linings. Perfect. What we're going into.
Perfect into our silver
Because
lining.
we're getting towards the end, and this is my favorite part because I'm really positive. I like to talk about all the good
Yeah,
things.
we know. You're great.
So
cute.
So
Mary Poppins.
And I love to hear from other people. So can someone share a good story? I'd love to hear it.
Well, I just want to say my daughter's was diagnosed 5 years ago. She'll be 10 on Tuesday, but she is on a competitive swim team. She's not winning races, but she may come in 40th out of 50 kids, and it's awesome. Woo! And I was just so excited she didn't drown crossing the pool. Right. But she's really, and so our doctor had said, get her swimming. So we immediately put in a pool. I found swim teams. She does summer swim. She has a long sleeve wetsuit and she looks ridiculous and adorable, but she loves it, and the kids are really accepting of her, and they know Maddie needs to have all her sunscreen. She wears a hat every time she's outside. She played on 2 basketball teams. So she's she's been off meds in the 5 years, maybe twice for 2 or 3 months, and then we have to go back on. But she's doing well, and she's managing it, and we had her in therapy. We don't even do that anymore. I had a really good friend who made a really good recommendation. I'm also a middle school teacher, and Maddie's my oldest, but she said, your child doesn't pick her friends, you pick her friends. And I was like, I do? And she said, oh yeah, so I've realized that that's really good parenting advice. So I made sure I surrounded Maddie with a really good core group of friends that know her, and they defend her when she has to have a snack at school, and she has a one-on-one aide, which is really good. Anybody she has an IEP, so it's really helpful. We went 504 and we went right to IEP. And so I thought that was great advice, and so I educated the parents. They have birthday parties around her. They get bouncy houses and put them in the shade, like water slides in the shade for her. They plan things that will accommodate Maddie, which is awesome. So I think that's really important too, is just surrounding yourself with people that are going to be supportive, and including your kids' friends. And that's really helpful. So she's doing really well. So I thought that would be good to share.
Anybody else?
So for our silver lining, I'll just say silver lining. Daisy in the hospital was asked to do a video for the for the hospital, and through that we discovered that she was incredibly talented on camera, and from there she started taking classes, got an agent. Now she has agents in several markets. She just starred in a movie. She's constantly auditioning. And I never would have allowed that without the disease. I mean, I know when we first joined, the whole thing was grassroots. It was really grassroots when we joined, much more grassroots than this is. And everybody said, we don't have a celebrity and we don't have any da-da-da. So it's like, well, we're going to make us one right here. And she has risen to the challenge, and she met Blake Shelton and gave him her card, and he was falling in love. So I never would have allowed that. It is sometimes uncomfortable that she is we go anywhere near home and everybody knows Daisy. And that's kind of weird, but it helps her do something with her talent. It's her gift. It's her talent that she can do. And when she was on set this spring to be in this movie. She was super we live in a place where sports is king, and everybody's in sports or dancing or anything, and she can't do any of those things. She hasn't been able to, and so she's not a loner at heart, but kind of because of situation, and she's homeschooled, and she's not around a whole lot of kids. She's not on a team, which those kind of things she loves. So seeing her blossom into and being around her people, of the actors, and so that, and I don't think I would have really resisted that whole world if it wasn't for the disease.
Jack's learned two things: empathy and perseverance.
Yes, definitely.
He sees other kids and he wants to help them. He's kind. He's seen a lot of kids that look very different from him, and he doesn't see it. He sees the kid. We were just doing something with the Children's Hospital Association 2 days ago here in DC. Our local children's hospital asked Jack to represent the hospital and lobby. So we met with Senator Schumer. We went with Senator Gillibrand's office and a couple of congressmen, and Jack told this story. And there was a bunch of kids from the hospital, and I watched him. And every time I'm a little nervous because there were some kids that look different there, but I watched him go up to the kids. He didn't see it. He was just playing with all the kids, and I was so proud of him. And he wouldn't, if he hadn't been diagnosed with JM, he wouldn't know that. He wouldn't be so comfortable. He looks for those kids, and he's so kind to them. And I love that he's so empathetic. Yeah. And also, he's gotten through this. He can get through anything. He can do anything.
Right. Kids, I think sick kids who have been through a lot are more empathetic. They are going to be more empathetic, more easily adaptable, and they persevere. So is there anything that we didn't talk about that somebody needs? I want to again say that I am available to you for anything that you need that I could possibly do. I'm no school teacher. No, I don't. I'm just a mom.
You are a teacher. You homeschool.
Oh no, I don't even say that. I don't. She learns online. I'm not teaching anything. I'm Kristen Harvey Prescott on Facebook. If you're not following me,
I'm Colleen Elizabeth. So I am on Facebook. I'm secret
trying to hide
because I'm a
from your
teacher. I don't want my
teachers.
students finding me.
Right. So, or anytime during this, if you need me to introduce you to somebody, or you need something specific, and you'd like to talk to me or Colleen. Feel free. So
thank you. I hope you got something from this, and thank you for coming.
We just kind of
we're
winging it. So hope everybody enjoyed it and got what they needed.
You guys are all great moms.
Yes,
you need to know
you're
that.
doing a good job.